Hey everyone, welcome to Threefold Floral. We're done doing film. Now we're all flowers. Just kidding. We're on a film set today. It's for an ad that we're shooting in a few days. We are going to be showing off the Deity TC-SL1. We're going to be using it on this set, but we wanted to give you our thoughts on it as we get to know it a little bit. So we're going to make some magic happen. Let's get to it. I'm going to start by taking it out of the box. We have taken it out of the box already. I just think it's a nice looking box and I wanted to show it off a little bit. It comes in this beautiful gray zip open case. And inside of it, the slate itself, and you have a few accessories in the top. You have a marker that looks like it's yellow. Really, it's black. It's just got nice Deity branding on it. Well, we ordered these separately. These are screen protectors for it. You have a few Deity stickers. They're pretty cool. We haven't stuck them on anything yet. And then naturally, you have a 5-pin LEMO cable, and that's for breaking out your timecode. The slate itself. This is the Deity TC-SL1. It's a slick little slate, and I've been stoked about this for a long time. The unit itself is very pretty. It feels great to hold. It's one solid piece of milled aluminum. It's not too heavy, and it's also got a great solid build to it. Now the top and most important, arguably the most important feature of this is where the fun begins, the clapper stick. It's made from a solid piece, well, 2 solid pieces of walnut, and it looks really nice. More importantly, it sounds really nice when you clap it together. Right, directly underneath the clapper stick is the real star of the show, the display. This is where the real fun begins. It's a dot matrix screen. It's red, as you can see. And looking at this screen makes you ask, I wonder how many screens Deity can fit on one device. Underneath the dot matrix display is the matte slate board where you can write all of your fun film notes using the included dry erase marker or just whatever dry erase marker you want. We have the North American English version. They make a few different varieties with different languages on them. So if you're in a different region that speaks a different language, well, you're in luck. To one side of the unit, you have a switch that controls the direction of the screen. So right now it's this way, but if you're tail slating, you just flip that switch, goes upside down. Nice little feature to have. Underneath that is a 5-pin timecode I/O LEMO port. Only 3 of the pins are utilized if that matters to you. And underneath that is a 1/2-inch auxiliary timecode TRS output port. Now on the back of the unit, and bringing our count of how many screens can Deity fit onto a device count to 2, is a small OLED screen. It's like 1 inch in size, maybe give or take. Nice little display, and you also have a groove to hold it with. And then on the clapper, nice little inset into the walnut to be able to clap it together. Now, directly to the right of the small OLED screen is a jog dial for the menu control that'll let you control the different aspects that are on your screen, so you don't need a phone to change your settings on it. You can do it right on the device. And underneath that is this little garage door, and that lets you control the power on the actual unit. Now, the garage door, it's not gonna like move around. It has a little bit of play to it. It would have been nice to have a little notch on the bottom and the top of this to stop it from moving around accidentally. All right, so just when you thought there weren't any more sides to this device that we could look at, we'll take a look at the bottom. It's got 2 NP battery slots and a USB-C port. And in these NP battery slots is something that really surprised me. I didn't expect the SL1 to come with these on-brand batteries, but it came with 2 of them. Not only that, but you can hot swap them. So right now the slate's still running even though I have a battery out. And if one dies, you can just replace it and not lose the time code. That's really important, and this is where the real fun begins. The USB-C port on the bottom allows you to charge the batteries in the slate directly. That saves you from having to carry an extra NP charger around, and charging time has been slated at, pun intended, 3 hours using USB PD or USB-C. That's 15 volts at 2 amps if that matters to you. That means that you don't have to carry around spare batteries. Let's say that halfway through the day you're realizing that your batteries are getting a little low. You can just charge it over lunch and you'll be fine. This is at the beginning of our shoot. It's 1:07 and 83 and 82% battery. It is currently 450. Beep, beep. And the battery has only dropped 3%. Not bad. These will last a long time. So let's get down to the basics of this. Obviously, there's a giant red screen on the front of this. When you open the slate, the time code begins reading off and the bottom of the slate lights up. You've got write-in sections for roll, scene, take, production, director, director of photography, a note section, and a date section. You're able to get different versions depending on which region of the world you're in, but this is what you can expect for North American English. What's writing on this feel like? This is where the real fun begins. It's almost like writing on a piece of paper. Since the surface of this display is matted, it's got a good texture to it as you write. And I've tried it with a few different markers. They all feel very good. Writing on it feels great. Clapping the slate also feels really great. Now, when you shut the clapper, the screen flashes to a few different settings. And then the backlight goes off entirely. I'm assuming this is done magnetically via an embedded reed switch somewhere in here, or purely by magic. It could also be through magic. So in the bottom right corner of the screen, and I say bottom right depending on which mode your screen flip setting is in, so now it's in the top left because you'd be tail slating, is a small triangle. This flashes once per second, starts at the beginning of your frame and gives you a visual indicator of how you're wasting your life away one precious second at a time. So now that I'm sad, I guess we'll talk about another low point in this slate for me. The colored chevron in the top of the slate isn't actually for coloring, it's just decorative. I've heard this is a decision made intentionally to dissuade people from using it to color grade. Unlike color control charts, this gets exposed to a lot more. People beat up their slates. I don't think you should beat up your slate. You should take good care of your slate. Yeah, so don't use it for grading. But I guess if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, you could use this as an opportunity to make your own color chart subscription service to sell stickers that you adhere to the top of this. That'll make me happy again. More monthly subscription services. Navigation is pretty similar to any other Aperture or Deity jogwheel device. A short press will select, rotating up, goes up, rotating down, goes down, and a long press takes you back. And a short press of this will unlock it. You might say, oh no, that sounds like I could actually unlock it pretty easily. And I have to say, I thought that too, but the interesting thing is that you have to hit it very specifically. So maybe you could practice timing it so you can get really good with that. But a couple presses will get you into the menu itself. Once your screen's unlocked, you have the following options. You have your slate lock settings, you have timecode run options, you can change whether this is a master or a slave device. You have your frames per second setting. Right now, those are limited to 23.98, 24, 25, 29.97, 29.97 drop frame, and 30. You have a channel group setting. You have timecode functions, which is sync, set. Then you have external option. You have an offset option. You've got a brightness option. That's for both the top screen and the bottom screen on the front of the device. You have Bluetooth for using this with an app that's on, off, or reset. You have system settings, so you can actually change the name, the device ID of this. You can change the name of it, which is kind of cool. And then you have an option that lets you switch between tail sticks and brightness on the side switch here. If you want to have a dim option and a bright option, you can just turn it up, turn it down, and that'll go between those two. Otherwise, it's just going to naturally default to tail slates. And then you have rear screen, which lets you set your auto lock timeout. You have system reset, firmware, and an update in that menu as well. Quite a few options packed into this itself, but the biggest thing is that you can control all of those on the device directly. But you don't have to worry about if you have your phone or not. You can just change your settings directly on here. It's really nice. But I'd like to take a look at the Cytus audio app because it is absolutely phenomenal, and it makes using this slate so much easier. The app lets you easily adjust timecode and some settings you can't change on the slate itself. That's including the ability to just sync your timecode directly from your phone or your device time. You can change your timecode format. So there's user bit options in here, which we'll get to in a little bit. And then you can toggle tail sticks. Another feature that you get from the app and not on the device itself is the show option. Now, this lets you adjust what happens when the clapper closes. So you have the option to permanently leave the matrix display on, or if you want it to show frames per second when you close it, you can have it show your user bit when you close it. You can put in 3 lines of text. Those are up to 8 characters each. You can adjust how long they display even. So think of that like 3 vanity license plates. Think about what you'd want to put on a license plate and write that in there. You can also put in 3 custom patterns, and when I say custom, I mean they have 4 preset patterns that you can put in. I have no idea if they're going to be adding like a pattern creator in the future or not, but I would love to be able to draw my own in there since I'm not sure what these mean. And like, was that an upside down fire flower from Mario in that last one right there? I don't know. But we are on set today. We are loading up the Cytus link app. We're about to start inputting timecode and everything. I've already put on most of the information. So we're gonna turn on the Slate. Connecting, pretty simple. I gotta rescan, let's see when it comes up. There we go. And timecode currently is running at 1, so it's just the default. I'm gonna hit sync on my screen. Timecode syncing, beautiful. Looks like it's running correctly. Let's make sure it matches up with my phone. That it does. But as you can also see, I have a transmitter dangling here because I'm gonna go sync up timecode. So if you wanna follow me over to the lair, I just leave an audio I/O. We have an output and then an input. So we'll take it out. We're gonna go into timecode on here and hit jam. It's gonna be kind of lame because you won't get to see it, but I'll tell you that it worked even if it didn't. Just kidding. Whoa, hang on. Actually, it's not there. I think I have this muted. I've got to see what I've done. We might have to come back to this. It doesn't seem to be transmitting. I might have to plug it into my headphones and see if it's even outputting. Let's see. Nothing coming out. We're gonna take a look at this. We're gonna figure out what's going on. We're gonna get to the bottom of it. Well, now it's working. I took it from the quarter output, ran it into a transmitter, just like we were doing before. Timecode's going here now, jammed up here. I'll go and jam the camera next, and by golly, we've done it. Looks like we got it right the first try. It's all jammed up. It's coming right out of the quarter-inch slot on the Slate. Life's good, man. I'm gonna let this rest here the rest of the day, and I don't have to worry about timecode. In the past, I've just used a wireless microphone, literally the Hollyland Lark 150 that we're using right now, or the Rode Wireless Go. You can just plug that into your timecode output, and then you can walk around with a wireless pack and sync all of your cameras up with that. That's a good option if you just want to set a pack on a camera and have a continuous timecode jam all day. You can set it and forget it. You don't have to worry about it. But what if there was a better way? There's gotta be a better way. You can take your Slate, this would be your master device, this one's outputting a timecode to all of your other devices, and then you can take these TC-1 packs, you can put a receiver on each camera that you've got set, and you can just leave it there and you don't have to worry about it. Or I guess you could walk around and you could manually sync up cameras, but you can use the multiple receivers, which is a huge benefit because if you're using a wireless microphone to transmit your timecode, then it's a one-to-one solution. So you either have to have a bunch of splitters going, or you are just limited to using it on one camera. Plus, the Deity TC-1 is independently usable from the Slate, so if you're on a shoot where you don't need the Slate, it's a smaller shoot, or it's a little intimidating, you don't want to use it, you can still use one of those as your timecode generator. But what if you want to use a different device as a timecode generator? No worries. As I mentioned earlier, the LEMO port on the side of this device is also an input. So you can use this little breakout cable, you can plug it into whatever your other device is, and that'll run the timecode into your Slate. As far as I can tell, there's no option for continuous sync, so you're just limited to a jam. It'd be nice to see an option for continuous sync though. All right, so what would we like to see in a future release? I think that's something that could be really useful and an absolute game changer. That would be having an e-ink display on the bottom. And for those who don't know about e-ink, it's essentially paper that can be digitally changed. So it would look just like this. The benefit to that would be that you could have all this information neatly typed in, maybe in a custom font or something, and it would display just like it's on paper, or you could change your fields around, and it would still look really clean. And if you didn't want to use your marker then you could just use the app to increase it, or if you did want to use your marker, you could just essentially wipe the whole thing clean digitally, write all of your information in. So you're not losing any features. It adds a lot of features to it. And I'm gonna guess that there's nothing that we're talking about today that Deity hasn't already been like, oh, we should try that out. Another improvement that I'd have liked to see on this Slate is a few quarter 20 threads. Maybe a quarter 20 thread on the bottom where it'd be nice to put it on a C stand or a rolling stand just to let it rest there. If I'm using like a wireless sync pack or something, it'd be nice to be able to stick that on a cold shoe or something on the back or on a magic arm and leave that device mounted to the Slate all day. There's plenty of blank space on the back of this device and on all of the sides, and considering it's already one solid piece of milled aluminum, I would imagine that it would be pretty trivial to be able to add that into there. Now, all of these features on the Deity TC-SL1 make me really envision a day where we don't need to worry about having packs on devices at all. Since so many cameras are being released with Bluetooth now, it's pretty easy to see a day where they just integrate the same protocol that Deity is using here, and then you don't have to worry about plugging in a BNC cable or a 3.5mm cable. That would just start to feel archaic. If it's already all wireless, then let's get all these camera producers on board. Let's get them to incorporate this. I'm looking at you, Blackmagic. All in all, I really like this Slate. It feels good, and for our purposes, it's not too complicated, but it's just complicated enough. It'll be nice to not have to have audio be the one worrying about timecode all the time, but then the second AC can also help out with that. So it takes a little bit of that workflow away from them, and it'll be really nice for us. This is the Deity TC-SL1. Thank you so much for watching our thoughts on it. If you have questions, let us know. We'd be happy to answer them. And until then, we'll see you next time. This is what happens when you hit the jam button. When I hit this button, that's what started happening. That's the timecode jam button that we know and love.